Now, you actually also devote an entire chapter to Carter and how you talked about how your husband and yourself were kind of became disillusioned by him. In that chapter, you mentioned the White House Conference on Families, and you told your husband that the president can't define what the family is. What is your opinion of cultural reconstruction of society through legislation, and have you seen any of these similarities in the Obama presidency?
Well, culture is established by individuals, and it's established by families and by our relationships with each other, and also by our religious faith. For most people, whatever their religious faith or philosophy or worldview is, defines who they are. Historically, in the United States, we had a fairly homogeneous sense of religious values. The early founders were something like 95+% Protestant, and they believed very strongly in religious tolerance, which is unique when you consider how homogeneous religiously the nation was, that they wanted to be open to tolerance of other people's faith. I think it was just a brilliant way to put the nation together, but yet there's a common core sense of values that people understood. And again, our founders said that our system of law was established on English law, which Blackstone was the famous jurist in England who said that all of English law is established upon the Ten Commandments. And the Ten Commandments are a pretty good sense of law. Don't kill other people, don't steal from other people, don't want what belongs to other people, don't lie about other people. Those aren't a bad core sense of values. And I think those values are ones that society does uphold through our laws, but certainly when it comes to individual religious preference, that is not for government to uphold. That's why the First Amendment is so dear to all of us, because no man should have their conscience dictated to by government. Each man and each woman needs to be able to have the freedom of their own conscience, and that's where Jefferson was coming from, and that is a good sense of values, I think, that our nation has upheld.
Okay. And do you believe that Barack Obama agrees with you with having freedom of our own conscience, and has he reflected that in his presidency?
I think that he and I probably hold different values. I don't think that our values are the same, and I wouldn't presume to identify the thoughts and intents of his heart, but based upon what his comments are and the legislation that he gets behind, we certainly have very different values. He is the most pro-abortion president we've ever had in the United States. I'm very pro-life. So that's just one example of a value that is very different.
Excellent. Now, going back to the Carter presidency, you basically said the result of his presidency was enlarging government, weakening our standing in the world, and decreasing responsibility in the home. When Reagan came in, he came in swinging against those three problems. How do we get that Reaganist result after 2012?
Well, two good questions. Big government is the antithesis or big government really is the basis of destruction of the family, because big government requires ever and ever shares of the family income, and that puts tremendous stress on the family. It takes away the ability of a family to truly be able to choose to have one of the parents care for the children, and it also makes it inordinately expensive to have many children, if any at all. And when the government lays increasing share on a family income, choices are taken away from people, because government makes our choices for us by taking away our income from us, because our income is the evidence and fruit of our labor. When it comes to foreign policy, Jimmy Carter was as naive, was just as naive as Barack Obama, but I think that President Obama is even more so. He allowed the United States to enter into discussions with Iran without any preconditions. And what President Obama did is give the Iranians the luxury of time to develop a nuclear weapon. This has been profoundly dangerous and may have, in fact, changed the course of history, because he allowed a madman to develop the opportunity to develop a weapon that the madman has already announced that once developed, they will use to wipe Israel off the face of the map, and they will also use it to wipe the United States off the face of the map. And if there's anything that the last 100 years should have taught mankind, it is that when a madman speaks, a sane, rational people should listen. And so whether Barack Obama was naive or intentional, the result is the same. And that is that he has put the United States in a far weaker, more vulnerable position today by an order of magnitude than we were the day that he took office. Jimmy Carter also made a similar action when he sat on his hands when the Shah of Iran needed the help of the United States. When the Shah fell, the radical Ayatollah Khomeini came into power, and as a result of that, we saw the rise of radical jihad in our lifetime. And everything from the Khobar Towers to the USS Cole to 9/11 occurred because of radical Islam. And now we're continuing to have to deal with that problem today. And it could be that President Obama has given Iran that opportunity to become not only the dominant party in the Middle East, but also the dominant party that can bring about the eventual annihilation of millions of people in the world.